I had 30 seconds to save my daughter, but she swam back to get her teddy bear. It was the last time I saw her alive. My name is Sarah. I'm 32 years old. And this is the hardest story I've ever told, but I need you to know what really happened. That 4th of July morning in the Texas Hill Country, I need you to understand that my daughter didn't die from stubbornness or selfishness. She died from love. Emma was 8 years old and the light of my life, golden blonde hair that caught the sunlight, bright blue eyes like the Texas sky, and a smile that could melt your heart from across the room. She was in 3rd grade and dreamed of becoming a marine biologist to save the dolphins. She was always the sensitive one, the kind of child who would cry when she saw a wounded bird and insist on trying to help it. I remember when she was 5, and we found an injured butterfly in our backyard. She spent 3 hours sitting next to it, talking softly and giving it drops of sugar water with a tiny spoon. When it finally died, she insisted we have a proper funeral with flowers and a small cross she made from popsicle sticks. It needs to know someone cared about it, Mama, she said, and in that moment I knew I had raised a special little girl. Her most precious possession was a brown teddy bear named Rusty that she'd gotten from her grandmother before she passed away. It wasn't just a toy, it was her confidant, her protector, her constant companion. She slept with him every night, took him to school when she was sad, and talked to him about everything. Rusty had one ear that was more worn than the other because Emma had this habit of rubbing it when she was nervous or thinking hard. When she was 6, Emma went through a difficult phase at school. Some kids were picking on her because she was too sensitive and cried easily. For weeks, she'd come home sad and discouraged. That's when she started taking Rusty to school with her. He gives me courage, Mama, she explained. When someone's mean to me, I look at him and remember I have a friend who will never hurt me. The teacher initially resisted the idea, but when she saw how much the bear helped Emma feel secure, she allowed it. Other parents complained, saying it was too babyish for a 6-year-old, but I didn't care. If my daughter needed Rusty to feel safe, then Rusty would go with her. July 4th, 2025 started like any other holiday. We were staying at my friend's cabin near the Guadalupe River, close to Hunt, Texas. Emma had been so excited about the Independence Day weekend, swimming in the river, watching fireworks, and roasting marshmallows around the campfire. She woke up at 6 a.m. with Rusty tucked under her arm. As always, Mama, can we go swimming with Rusty today? She asked, wearing her favorite red, white, and blue pajamas that she'd picked out especially for the 4th of July. He's never seen the river before. I said yes, gave her a kiss on the forehead, and made breakfast while she got dressed. While she ate her pancakes, Emma told me about her plans for the day. I'm going to show Rusty all the cool rocks in the river, and maybe we'll see some fish, she said, taking a bite and getting syrup on her chin. He's been asking about Texas rivers ever since we left home. She often talked about Rusty as if he were real, asking questions and having conversations. What else does Rusty want to do today? I asked, playing along. He wants to collect smooth stones for his collection, and he wants to watch the fireworks tonight, she replied, hugging the bear. But he's a little scared of the loud noises, so I told him I'd hold him extra tight. Our cabin was simple but cozy, right on the riverbank. It was the kind of place where you could hear the water flowing gently at night and wake up to birdsong. Emma loved it there. She'd stand on the porch every morning, Rusty in her arms, watching the sunrise reflect on the water. Look, Rusty, she'd say, the river is sparkling like diamonds. The area was known for occasional flooding during heavy rains, but nothing serious. The locals always said the water would rise a little and then go back down. We'd been coming to this spot for 3 years, and it had always been safe. Emma had learned to swim in that very river the summer before. Around 2 p.m., it started raining. It wasn't unusual for July in Texas. Afternoon thunderstorms were common. Emma came running inside. Rusty clutched to her chest, both of them damp from the rain. Mama, Rusty got wet, she said, showing me the bear slightly damp fur. He's cold, let's dry you both off, I said, grabbing a soft towel. She went to her room to change clothes, and I heard her talking to Rusty as they dried off together. Don't worry, Rusty, rain can't hurt us when we're inside. Mama will keep us safe. It was common to hear her talking to the bear like he was a real person. She'd create different voices for him, tell him secrets, and sometimes even argue with him. Once, I found her scolding Rusty because he had eaten the last cookie in the jar. You have to learn to share, she said seriously. That's what good friends do. When I finished cleaning up the kitchen, I found them both wrapped in a towel. On her bed, Emma reading a story to Rusty. He likes when I read to him, she explained. It makes him forget he was scared of the rain. I sat down beside them and listened to the story too, pretending that Rusty was really paying attention. By 4 p.m., the rain had intensified. By 6 p.m., it was concerning, but nothing prepared us for what was coming. I was in the kitchen preparing dinner when I noticed the river was higher than normal. Probably just runoff from the storm, I thought. Like so many times before, Emma was in the living room, playing with Rusty and her other toys. She'd built a little fort out of couch cushions and was having a tea party with him. "Would you like sugar in your tea, Rusty?" she asked, then answered, in a different voice, "Just a little bit, thank you, Emma. These games could last for hours." "Mama, it's raining really hard," she said, coming to the kitchen with Rusty in her arms. "Rusty is worried about the birds outside. Do they have somewhere to hide?" I explained that birds were smart and knew how to protect themselves from storms, and she seemed relieved. "Good," she sighed. "I wouldn't want them to get cold and scared. If I had known what would happen in the next 6 hours, I would have grabbed Emma and left the cabin immediately, but I didn't know. How could I know? No one warned us that this wasn't just another Texas thunderstorm, but the beginning of a catastrophe that would change the Texas Hill Country forever. At 5:30 p.m., I turned on the weather radio to check the forecast. The meteorologist was talking about heavy rains and possible flooding, but nothing that seemed extraordinary. Emma joined me on the couch with Rusty, and we watched cartoons while waiting for the rain to stop. "Mama, can I tell you a secret?" she asked during a commercial break. "Of course, sweetheart," I replied. "Sometimes I dream that Rusty becomes a real bear and we go live in a magical forest," she said, stroking the bear's head. "That would be cool, wouldn't it?" I agreed, kissing the top of her head. "It would be the best adventure ever," Emma did some coloring at the kitchen table, with Rusty always beside her, helping with the pictures. "Mama, when I grow up, I want to work with animals like Rusty," she said, coloring a picture of the ocean. "I want to help save the dolphins and whales." "That's a wonderful dream," I said, braiding her hair that was still slightly damp from the rain. "What would you tell people about Rusty if you wrote a story about him?" I asked, curious. "That he's brave, that he protects me when I'm scared, that he never leaves me alone, and that he has the biggest heart in the world," she replied without hesitation, "and that he loves me the same way I love him, forever and always." At 7 p.m., the power went out. Emma came running to the kitchen, Rusty in her arms, her eyes wide with fear. "Mama, I'm scared of the lightning," she whispered, snuggling against me. "Rusty is scared too, but he said he'll be brave for me." I calmed her down, lit some candles, and we had a snack in the dark. "Let's pretend we're camping," I said, trying to make the situation fun. Real campers don't have electric lights. Emma loved the idea and started telling adventure stories, always including Rusty as the main character alongside her. "Once upon a time, there was a little girl and her teddy bear who got lost in the forest," she began, using different voices for the characters, but they weren't afraid because they were together. "And the teddy bear said, 'Don't worry, Emma, I'll take care of you.' And she said, 'I'll take care of you too.' Rusty, friends take care of each other." We turned that moment into an adventure. I told stories from my childhood, and Emma laughed, holding Rusty against her chest. "Rusty likes your stories, Mama," she said. "He wants to meet Grandma someday." My mother had died 3 years earlier, but I didn't correct her. In Emma's imagination, everyone we loved was still alive somehow. By 8 p.m., I began to notice the river was rising significantly. It wasn't just rain anymore, it was something different. More frightening. The sound was different too, like there was a strong current. I went to look out the window and saw that the water was already covering the lower part of our dock. "Mama, why do you look worried?" Emma asked, noticing my tension. "It's just a heavy rain, sweetheart," I said, trying to sound calm. "But maybe we should go upstairs, just to be more comfortable." She agreed, picking up Rusty and a few toys. "Let's have a sleepover in Mama's room," I said, trying to keep the mood light. "We can tell stories until late." Emma loved the idea, and ran to get her favorite books. "Rusty loves sleepovers," she said. "He said he'll stay awake all night to protect me." We went upstairs, and Emma ran to my bed, settling under the covers with Rusty. "It's warmer here," she said, making a special spot for the bear. "Look, Mama, Rusty is smiling, he likes your room." I sat beside her, and we started talking about silly things, about school, about her friends, about plans for the rest of the summer. I tried to ignore the sound of the rain getting louder and louder, but Emma was noticing it too. "Mama, why is the rain so loud?" she asked, hugging Rusty tighter. "Sometimes storms are just noisier," I explained. but we're safe here inside. Rusty said the house is strong and will protect us. She replied, and I wish that were true. At 9 p.m., water started coming under the front door. That's when I realized this wasn't just a normal flood. The sound of water hitting the door made my blood run cold. Emma, let's pack some important things, I said, trying to stay calm. Why? She asked, clutching Rusty tighter. Just in case. I replied, sometimes it's better to be prepared. She watched me while I put documents, some money and medicine in a waterproof bag that I used for beach trips. Mama, can I put Rusty in the bag? She asked. He won't take up much space. Of course, I replied, though I knew there wouldn't be room, but it's better if you hold him close to you. I also packed some dry clothes for both of us, a water bottle, and some crackers. Emma helped me, suggesting things we could take. What about our photo from the beach? She asked, and the drawing I made for you on Mother's Day. I took the photo, but said the drawing was too big. That's okay, she said, understanding. The important thing is that the three of us are together. She was referring to me, her, and Rusty in her mind. He was as much a part of the family as we were. At 10:30 p.m., the water was up to my knees. We couldn't wait any longer. The sound was deafening now, and through the window I could see that the river had turned into a raging torrent. Cars were being swept away, trees were falling, and worst of all, I could hear people screaming for help. Emma, we need to leave the house now, I said, grabbing the bag. But why? She asked. Clinging to Rusty, the water's coming into the house, I explained. We need to go somewhere higher. And Rusty? She asked immediately. He's coming with us. Of course, I replied. We would never leave Rusty behind. We went downstairs, and the water was already up to her waist. The first floor of the cabin was completely flooded. Our furniture was floating, and I saw Emma's favorite doll, her second favorite, after Rusty being carried away by the current. Inside our own house, Mama, Lily, she screamed, seeing the doll, I need to save her. There's no time, I said, picking Emma up. Let's save who we can save. She cried a little for the doll, but hugged Rusty tighter. At least Rusty is safe, she sighed. I picked Emma up, and she wrapped her arms around my neck, with Rusty pressed between us. Mama, I'm scared, she whispered in my ear. I know, sweetheart, but we're going to stay together, okay? All three of us, she corrected. All three of us are going to stay together. The front door was hard to open because of the water pressure. When I finally managed it, a strong current almost knocked me down. Hold on tight to me, I said to Emma, and to Rusty too. She replied, as if the bear was essential to our survival. Mama, the water is so cold, she said when her feet touched the water. Rusty is cold too. We'll get out of here quickly, I promised. Soon you'll both be dry and warm. Outside, it was total chaos. The water was flowing with a force I had never seen in all my years in Texas. Cars flipped upside down, entire trees being swept away, and the sound of people screaming for help echoed throughout the area. The rain continued to fall, hard, making it difficult to see, and the darkness made everything more terrifying. Let's go to the Wilsons' house, I shouted, trying to make myself heard over the deafening sound of the water. The neighbor's house was on higher ground, about 3 blocks away. They had always been kind to us, and Emma liked them. It seemed possible to reach if we could stay steady against the current. Emma pressed Rusty against her chest, protecting him from the rain with her own body. Mama, what if we get lost? She asked, her voice shaking with cold and fear. We won't get lost, I promised, trying to sound more confident than I felt. We'll follow the fence line to the main road. Rusty is scared, she said, kissing the bear's head, but I explained to him that you're very brave and will take us to safety, even in the middle of that chaos. Emma worried about comforting her teddy bear. Tell him everything will be okay, I replied, fighting against the current. We started walking down what used to be our street, now a turbulent river. The water was freezing and dirty, full of branches, garbage, pieces of furniture, and things I couldn't identify in the darkness. Every step was a battle against the current that tried to knock us down. My feet could barely find solid ground. Mama, I can't see anything, Emma said, clinging to my neck. Everything is so dark. I'll guide us, I promised. Trust me. Rusty trusts you, she replied. He said you're the bravest mama in the world. We passed the Johnsons' house, which was completely submerged. Only the roof was still visible above the water. Mama, what about Mr. Johnson? Emma asked, referring to the elderly man who lived there. Did he get out? I didn't know how to answer, but I said I was sure he was safe. Rusty is worried about all the animals, she said. He wants to know if the dogs and cats got saved. Animals are very smart, I replied. They know how to protect themselves. That's good. She sighed, relieved. I wouldn't want any little animals to get hurt. When we reached the halfway point, the situation got drastically worse. The water had risen to my chest, and Emma was completely soaked. Her little hands were getting numb from the cold, and I could feel how much she was shivering. Mama, I can't hold Rusty properly anymore, she said, and I saw panic in her eyes. My hands are going to sleep. Put him inside my jacket, I said, opening my coat. That way he'll be warm and safe. Emma carefully placed the bear between us, and I could feel how completely soaked he was. His weight had doubled with the water, but for Emma, that didn't matter. Now he's protected, she said, relieved. Now all three of us are close together. Mama, why is this happening? She asked as we continued fighting against the current. It was a question I couldn't answer. Sometimes nature gets angry, I said, not knowing how to explain it better, but we're going to be okay. Rusty wants to know if our house will be okay. She said he loves our house. It's where he feels safest. The house will be fine. I lied, because at that moment I needed her to keep hope. When this is all over, we'll go back home. Just then, we heard a loud noise coming from behind us. It was different from the sound of rain and water. It was like something gigantic was approaching. I turned and saw a wall of water forming, much bigger than anything we had seen so far. It wasn't just flooding anymore. It was like a dam had burst. Emma, hold on tight, I screamed, trying to prepare for the impact. What's happening? She asked, gripping my neck tighter. Just hold on tight to me and Rusty, I said. Don't let go of each other. The wave hit us with brutal force that instantly lifted my feet off the ground. For a terrifying moment, I thought we were going to die there, all three of us together. Emma screamed, but didn't let go of Rusty or me. Mama, she screamed. I'm here, I screamed back. Don't let go of me. We managed to grab onto a lamppost that was still standing. The water kept rising, and I realized we wouldn't be able to reach the Wilsons' house. The current was too strong, and I was losing strength quickly. We needed another plan, and fast. Emma, let's try to get to the roof of that house, I said, pointing to a nearby building that still had part of its structure above water. Can we do it? She asked. We can do it, I replied. Though I wasn't sure. Rusty is afraid of heights, she said, but I explained to him that it's better to be up high than in the water. Even in the middle of the storm, she worried about the bear's feelings. Tell him it'll be like an adventure, I suggested. We started moving toward the house, using posts and walls for support. The current was getting stronger and stronger, and I felt my strength draining away. Emma was shivering with cold, but she never let go of Rusty for a second. Mama, are you tired? She asked, noticing my heavy breathing. A little, I admitted, but I'm going to get you to safety. Rusty said he can try to swim by himself too. Help you, she said seriously, but I explained that teddy bears can't swim. When we got close to the house, I realized it would be impossible to climb onto the roof with Emma in my arms. The water was too high, and I had no strength left. The walls were slippery, and there was no way to climb. That's when I saw lights approaching, a rescue boat with men shouting instructions. Over here, there's a child here, I screamed, waving with one hand. They saw us and started rowing in our direction. We're going to be rescued, Emma, I said, feeling hope return. We're getting out of here, all three of us, she asked. All three of us, I confirmed, but when the boat got close, the current was so strong they couldn't get near enough. The water was forming dangerous whirlpools around the boat, and they were struggling to maintain control. You're going to have to swim over here, shouted one of the men. Can you do it? I looked at Emma, who was getting weaker and weaker. Her lips were purple with cold, and she was shivering uncontrollably. Mama, I'm really tired, she said, and Rusty is so heavy. The bear was completely soaked, weighing much more than normal. Maybe we should leave Rusty here, I said, making the hardest decision of my life. Just until we get to the boat, then we'll come back for him. No, she screamed, pressing the bear against her chest. He'll drown. He doesn't know how to swim. Emma, we need to be fast, I insisted, seeing that the boat was having trouble waiting. Rusty will be okay here. No, Mama, she said, tears in her eyes. I promised I would never abandon him. I promised. The men in the boat shouted that they had other people to rescue, that they couldn't wait much longer. The current was getting stronger and they were at risk of losing control. Now or never, one of them shouted. Panic took over me. Okay, you can bring Rusty. I gave in, because there was no time for discussion. But you can't let go of me. Promise. I promise, Mama, she said, looking me in the eyes. Me, you, and Rusty together, always together. I started swimming toward the boat, with Emma clinging to my neck and Rusty pressed between us. The water was murky and freezing, full of debris that hit us. I could barely see where I was going, navigating only by the voices of the men in the boat. "Almost there, ma'am," shouted one of the men. "A little more." I could feel my strength running out, but Emma was there, depending on me. "Mama, you can do it," she whispered in my ear. "Rusty said you're the strongest mama in the world." "I love you, Emma," I said, feeling like I needed to say that. "I love you too, Mama," she replied, "and Rusty loves you too. He said you're the best mama in the universe." Even in the middle of the storm, she could make me smile. We were just a few meters from the boat when I felt a stronger current pull my legs down. For a moment, we went completely underwater, and when I surfaced, Emma was coughing and spitting water. "Mama, I lost Rusty," she screamed, desperate. "He was right here," she cried, looking around. "Where's he?" I looked for the bear in the water around us, but couldn't see anything in the darkness. "It doesn't matter right now," I said, trying to calm her. "Let's get to the boat first." But Emma started struggling, trying to look for the bear in the dark water. "Rusty, Rusty," she screamed, turning her head in all directions. "He can't swim. He needs me." "Emma, stop," I screamed, trying to control the situation. That's when I saw the bear floating a few meters away from us, being carried by the current. His little paws were stretched out, and he seemed to be waving. "There," Emma screamed, pointing with one hand. "He's there. He's calling for me. Let's get him later," I said, trying to be rational. "First we need to save ourselves." "No," she screamed, partially letting go of me. "He's scared. He needs me now." "Emma, listen to Mama," I begged. "Rusty will be fine. He knows you love him." "But I promised I would never abandon him," she cried. "I promised, Mama." "What if he thinks I lied to him?" What happened in the next 30 seconds will haunt me for the rest of my life. Every detail is engraved in my memory like a movie playing in slow motion. Emma looked at me, then at the bear being carried by the current, then at the boat waiting for us. I saw the conflict in her eyes, the struggle between safety and loyalty, between survival and love, and then she made the decision that would change our lives forever. "Mama, I have to save him," she said, with a determination I had never seen. In her eyes, he would save me, and before I could stop her, she let go of my arms. "Emma, no," I screamed, trying to grab her, but she was already swimming toward the bear. With desperate but determined movements, "Rusty, I'm coming," she shouted, with a voice that mixed panic and pure love. "Emma, come back here," I screamed, trying to swim after her, but the current was taking me in the opposite direction, toward the boat. "Girl, where are you going?" shouted one of the rescue men. As surprised as I was, she was a few meters from the bear when a bigger wave passed over her. My heart stopped for eternal seconds. I saw neither her nor Rusty. When the water calmed, I saw her little head appear again, farther away. But with the bear safe in her arms, I did it, she screamed, holding Rusty against her chest like he was the most precious treasure in the world. "I saved Rusty. He's safe." There was genuine joy in her voice, even in the middle of that chaos. For her, at that moment, nothing else mattered besides the fact that she had saved her best friend. But she was being carried by the current, in the opposite direction from the boat. "Emma, swim this way," I screamed, using all my strength to try to reach her. "Mama, the water is too strong," she screamed back, "but Rusty is okay. He's breathing." The men in the boat were shouting instructions, but the sound of the water was deafening. I saw one of them jump into the water to try to help, but the current was too strong. "Hold on to the girl," shouted the one who stayed in the boat. "Don't let her go." Emma was fighting against the water, Rusty firm in her arms. She held him like a mother holds a baby, protecting him with her own body. "Mama, I saved him," she screamed, and there was pride in her voice. "He said he's proud of me." "Swim this way, sweetheart," I screamed, trying to get closer. "You can do it." But every second, the distance between us increased. The current was taking her away, and I couldn't swim fast enough. My strength was at its limit. She tried to swim in my direction, but the weight of the soaked bear was making her movements difficult. "Mama, Rusty is heavy," she screamed, "but I can't let go of him now. He would be very sad." "Let go of the bear, Emma," I screamed, finally understanding that was the only way out. "Let him go." "I can't," she screamed back. "He trusts me. He believes I'm going to protect him." In that moment, I completely understood my daughter's dilemma. It wasn't just about a toy. It was about honoring a promise, about not abandoning those we love, about being the person she had learned to be, and those were lessons I myself had taught her. "Emma, please," I begged, swimming with all the strength I had left. "Mama needs you." Rusty needs me too, she replied, and I heard the anguish in her voice. I can't choose, you're both my family. The man who had jumped from the boat was trying to reach her, but the current was merciless. Girl, give me your hand, he screamed. I'll help you. Can you hold Rusty too, she asked, and I saw hope in her eyes. Of course I can, he lied, trying to get closer. We'll save both of you, but I knew he was lying. I knew it would be impossible to save a child who refused to let go of a soaked teddy bear in a cur. Ain't that strong? Emma looked at me, then at the bear, then at the man. For a moment, I thought she was going to make the rational decision, but she pressed Rusty closer to her chest and shook her head. We go together or we don't go, she said, and even in the middle of the storm, I heard her clearly. He's my best friend, she continued, kissing the bear's wet head. I promised I would never abandon him, and a promise is a promise. Those were my own words, which I had said to her hundreds of times. Always keep your promises, Emma, that's what makes a person trustworthy. A bigger wave was forming behind her. Emma, dive, I screamed, remembering the swimming lessons she had taken the previous summer. Hold your breath and dive. She did as I said, disappearing under the water with the bear. When the wave passed, I desperately searched for her. Emma, Emma, I screamed, turning my head in all directions. Where are you? The rescue man was also looking, diving and coming back to the surface repeatedly. There, he screamed, pointing to a more distant spot. I saw her little head appear again, still with Rusty in her arms. Mama, she screamed, and her voice was weaker. I'm getting tired, but Rusty is okay. Hold on a little longer, I screamed, swimming toward her. Mama is coming, but I knew it wasn't true. The current was separating us more and more, and my strength was running out. Emma tried to swim one more time, but I saw she was getting exhausted. Mama, my legs hurt, she screamed, but Rusty said he'll help me be strong. She was talking to the bear even at that moment, seeking strength in his presence. You're the bravest girl in the world, I screamed, trying to encourage her. You can do it. Rusty said the same thing, she replied, and managed to smile even in the middle of the storm. He said I'm brave just like you, but then I realized she was losing the battle. Her movements became slower, more uncoordinated. Mama, I can't anymore, she screamed, and for the first time, I heard real despair in her voice. I'm too tired, let go of the bear. Emma, I screamed one last time. With all the strength I had left, please, let him go. I can't, she cried. He'll be alone, he'll be scared. That's when I realized it wasn't just about the bear. It was about loyalty, about not abandoning those we love, about the values I myself had taught her throughout her life. And now, those values were taking my daughter away from me. Emma, Mama loves you more than anything in the world, I screamed, feeling this might be my last chance to talk to her. You're the most important thing in my life. I love you too. Mama, she screamed back, and Rusty loves you too. He said you're the best mama in the universe. At that moment, I saw another wave forming, bigger than all the previous ones. It was like a wall of dark water moving toward her. Emma, watch out, I screamed, but she couldn't hear me because of the noise. The wave swallowed her completely. For seconds that felt eternal, I saw neither her nor the bear. When the water calmed, I frantically searched for any sign of them. Emma, Emma, I screamed, diving and coming back to the surface. My daughter, where are you? She's gone, said the rescue man, his voice heavy. I can't see her anywhere. Keep looking, I screamed, hysterical. She has to be here. She knows how to swim. She's a good swimmer. We searched for another 20 minutes, but we found neither Emma nor the bear. The current had taken them both away, swallowed by the darkness of the night and the fury of the water. My daughter had disappeared, along with the friend she refused to abandon. I need to get you to the boat, said the man, holding my arm firmly. I can't do anything more. Here, no, I screamed, fighting like a madwoman. I won't leave my daughter. She's out there somewhere. Ma'am, she's not here anymore, he said, gently but firmly, and if we stay, we'll die too. He was right, but how can a mother accept abandoning the search for her own child? How could I give up on Emma when she hadn't given up on Rusty? She went back to save him, I whispered, stopping my resistance. She went back to save the teddy bear. What teddy bear? He asked. Rusty, I replied, her best friend. She couldn't abandon him. He carried me to the boat, where other survivors were waiting, all soaked, all in shock, all with their own stories of loss, but no loss compared to mine. I had lost my daughter because of a teddy bear. My daughter, I whispered, looking at the dark water. My Emma. And from somewhere distant, almost like it was my imagination, I swore I heard a small voice shouting, Mama, I saved Rusty. he's safe. They took me to a temporary shelter set up at the local high school. There, I spent the night awake, wet and in shock. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Emma's face, saw her holding the bear, saw the moment she chose not to abandon her best friend. Throughout the night, I wondered if I could have done something different, if I had been firmer about leaving the bear at the cabin, if I had swum faster, if I had made different decisions from the beginning. But deep down, I knew the truth. Emma wasn't just a stubborn child. She was a girl who loved deeply, who didn't abandon those she loved, who preferred to risk herself rather than leave someone behind. And those were qualities I had taught her. The official search began the next morning. Dozens of firefighters, divers, and volunteers searched along what the Guadalupe River had become. Helicopters flew over the area, and search dogs walked the muddy banks. I participated in every moment of the search. I walked along the muddy banks, screaming Emma's name, looking for any sign of her or the bear. Other parents were also searching for their children, and there was silent solidarity among us. We all understood each other's pain without needing to speak. Emma, Emma, I screamed, my voice echoing across the devastated landscape. Mama is here, where are you? But only the echo of my own voice answered me, mixed with the sound of water still flowing. On the second day, they found the body of our neighbor, Mr. Johnson. Emma had asked about him on the night of the flood. On the third day, they found a child from another family. Each discovery was a relief for one family and a stab in the heart for the others. Why not my daughter? I asked myself with each body found. Why not Emma? But at the same time, I hoped she wouldn't be found, because as long as she wasn't, there was still hope. On the fourth day, a volunteer called me. He was a tall man, with a graying beard who had been helping in the search since the first day. Mrs. Sarah, we found something, he said, carefully holding a plastic bag. Inside was rusty, muddy and deformed, but recognizable. His little paws were open, as if he was still trying to swim. His button eyes were covered with mud, but the unmistakable shape was there. I took the bear in my hands and started crying. He was heavy, still soaked, and smelled like mud and dirty water, but when I pressed him against my chest, I could still feel a little of Emma's scent, that sweet child smell I had known since she was born. Where were you, Rusty? I whispered, stroking what remained of his fur. Where is she? But the bear couldn't answer. He could only lie there, as a silent witness to Emma's sacrifice. We found him 12 miles downstream, said the volunteer. He was caught in a fallen tree, along with other debris. 12 miles. Emma had been carried 12 miles by the current, holding that bear until the end. She made it, I whispered. She managed to save Rusty. What? Asked the volunteer. My daughter, I explained. She went back to save the bear. She chose to save him instead of saving herself. They continued searching for another 3 weeks, but Emma was never found, officially. She's listed as missing, but I know the truth. She sacrificed herself for the bear, because she couldn't abandon someone she loved. She died being exactly the person I raised her to be. Today, 11 months later, Rusty is on her bed. In the same place he always was. I had him cleaned and sewn, but he was never the same. His stitches are different, his fur is thinner, and he lost that familiar smell, just like I was never the same. Every night, before going to sleep, I talk to the bear. I tell him about my day, about how I'm trying to rebuild my life, about how much I miss Emma, and sometimes, when the wind hits the bedroom window, I swear I hear a small voice saying, Mama, I saved Rusty, he's safe. I learned that children's love is pure and unwavering. Emma couldn't abandon the bear because, to her, he was real. He was her friend, her responsibility, part of the family. And she died as she lived, loving unconditionally, protecting those who were weaker, keeping her promises. Sometimes people ask me if I blame the bear, if I think it would have been different if she hadn't been so attached to him. And I always answer the same thing. Emma didn't die because of a teddy bear. She died being faithful to the values I taught her. Don't abandon those you love. Take care of those who are weaker. Be loyal to your friends. Keep your promises. All these things I told her throughout her 8 years of life. And when the time came to choose, she chose to be exactly the person I raised her to be. Today I live one day at a time, carrying pain and pride mixed in my chest. Pain because I lost my daughter in the most cruel way possible. Pride because she died being the incredible person she was. And every time I look at Rusty, I remember that Emma didn't die in vain. She died saving someone she loved. I moved from Texas after the tragedy. I couldn't live there anymore, surrounded by memories and the devastated landscape, but I took Rusty with me. because he's all I have left of her. He's proof that my daughter existed, that she loved, that she was brave until the end. Sometimes when I'm very sad, I hug the bear and pretend it's Emma. I close my eyes and imagine she's there, telling me about her day at school, about the friends she made, about the animals she wants to save. And for a few seconds, the pain diminishes. I started working at an organization that helps orphan children. I couldn't have another child. The pain was too great. But I could help other children, other Emmas who needed love and care, and whenever I see a child with a special toy, I remember my daughter. Take good care of your friend. I always tell them, he's special. And they always respond that yes, they will take care, they will never abandon him, and I see Emma in each one of them. The Texas Hill Country floods of July 2025 were one of the deadliest natural disasters in the state's history. At least 134 people died, with 107 confirmed deaths in Kerr County alone, and about 101 people reported missing. The Guadalupe River rose about 26 feet in 45 minutes, surging an estimated 29 feet in the Hunt area. More than 20 children were declared missing from Camp Mystic, a summer camp in the Hunt area. Camp Mystic owner Dick Eastland died while trying to rescue campers during the catastrophic flooding. The tragedy highlighted the sudden and devastating nature of flash floods in the Texas Hill Country. The flood was caused by rare meteorological conditions, with rainfall totals exceeding 430 millimeters in the Hill Country, more than 4 times the regional July average. The flooding was triggered by a mesoscale convective vortex with enhanced tropical moisture from the remnants of Tropical Storm Barry. If you're a parent watching this, please hug your children today. Tell them you love them, teach them the right values, but also teach them that sometimes you have to make difficult choices, that sometimes you have to save yourself first to be able to help others. I don't regret teaching Emma to be loyal, to be loving, to not abandon those she loves. Those are beautiful qualities. But if I could go back in time, I would also teach her about priorities, about when it's time to let go. My 8-year-old daughter taught me that some loves are more important than life itself. And even in pain, I'm proud to have raised a girl capable of such love. Emma didn't die as a victim, she died as a hero, saving someone she loved. Every day, when I look at Rusty, I remember that he represents something bigger than a toy. He represents the ability to love unconditionally, to be faithful, to keep promises. He represents everything that was best in my daughter, and whenever someone asks me how I managed to continue, I show them the bear and say, because she managed to save him, because in the end, she managed to do what she promised, and if she could be that brave, I can be too. Emma, wherever you are, Mama loves you, and Rusty is safe waiting for you. You two are together forever, just like you always dreamed, and I'll keep telling your story, so other people know that there are children capable of true love in this world. This is the story of my daughter, Emma, the girl who went back to save her best friend, the girl who died being exactly who she was, the girl who taught me that true love doesn't abandon, even when it costs everything. The Texas floods of 2025 took many lives, but they also revealed the incredible capacity for love and sacrifice that exists in the human heart. Emma was one of the youngest victims, but her story represents the bravery and loyalty that emerged. Even in the darkest hours, in the months following the disaster, many residents whose homes were destroyed said they planned to rebuild in the same area, showing the resilience of the human spirit. Recovery efforts continue, with authorities planning to drain flood-swollen lakes to search for the roughly 100 people still missing. Emma's story reminds us that in the face of natural disasters, what matters most is not just survival, but who we choose to be in our final moments. She chose love, loyalty, and sacrifice. She chose to be the person I raised her to be, and that's how I want her to be remembered, not as a victim of the Texas floods, but as a little girl who loved so deeply that she couldn't abandon her best friend, even in the face of death. That's the Emma I'll carry in my heart forever.